Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Make sure you like and subscribe. Just show a little bit of love here and there. But for anybody who's returning, I appreciate you guys for kind of coming and sticking around. This is weird for me. I don't typically go live publicly like this. So I'm really, really excited. We already have people in the chat. We have Just My Thoughts saying it's a masterpiece. That's the only way to describe it. 100%. As you guys can tell from the title, I agree. We have Nolan De Palma. Hi, Nolan, saying just finished not too long ago and loved it. We'll be rewatching this for sure. Yeah, I mean, I watched it this morning for the second time, so it's been out for about a day. I I watched it last night, and then I watched Make Happy for the first time in a minute, but I've seen it quite a bit. And then I rewatched Inside this morning for this. We have Kylie saying SNL Sabrina Night Live. Hi, Kylie and Andrew in the chat, MK Songbird, Jeremy Miller. Oh, yeah, get your fucking hands up. But like the title says, this is kind of a review and discussion about Bo Burnham's new special because he is so incredible. Like I had high expectations because I think he's one of the most interesting, eloquent performers and writers working today. I have his book right over here. No matter what it is, whether it's like his early start on YouTube to Zach Stone, even though that was a hit or miss TV show, I appreciated it when it was on because I was a little bit younger. But he retired from live comedy at the end of Make Happy, and now he's back 5 years later with another special. Of course, I'm going to have high expectations because if he is coming back, I kind of have expectations where I know it's going to be something impactful and important. Like if he feels the need to come back and bring us another piece of work, I it's just something I'm definitely going to look forward to. His comedy style, of course, is just like dark humor with like really intelligent commentary on our culture. There's this self-awareness and vulnerability to everything that he does that I just find to be so unique to his brand of comedy. And that's why I know not everybody will appreciate it in the same way. I feel like everybody could grab a little bit here or there with his past works, like if we're talking about What or Make Happy, but something about this, it's like we're forced to kind of understand him in this way. I mean, like he's back to basics. He's just a guy in his room with a camera, writing, directing, editing all this stuff on his own. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, I've been a fan of his for years, whether it's his other specials, the TV show, different things that he's done. I always find something to love. But him kind of retiring from stand up and doing live comedy, I've like admired his career from then even till now. Obviously, working on eighth grade, I think eighth grade deals with what it's like to kind of grow up in the age of social media and critique it in a way and show how it might like shape our youth a little bit and how it shows that everybody thinks that they're special enough to be able to display everything that they think all the time. And obviously the pros and cons to that because there's like amazing parts with social media, but there's a lot of cons if you're a child and you're stumbling upon something like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. um, I just find it to be so fascinating. And out of all the films that have dealt with that type of conversation, I feel like eighth grade did it the best. Because, of course, it's a huge piece of it, but it's not the whole. It's still a coming of age story at the end of the day. But when we're talking about just his specials, it's super theatrical. The production is amazing. He uses like lighting, sound to elevate his performance and the experiences. He has this interaction with the audience that I think is really, really special. And it's kind of always been apparent that his shows plan to a T with every second being perfectly calculated. Oh, we have Kylie in the chat saying that she's never heard of Bo Burnham. Hi, guys. Andrew saying, same Kylie. Well, I hope you guys were able to check out the special. If not, I still highly recommend it. After all of this, there's not going to be too many like spoiler type of things. So I hope you're able to check it out. Definitely let me know. If anybody's watching on a replay, let me know what you think in the comments below. But yeah, with all of that, with his theatrics that he brings to all of his performances, having that be stripped away, it's kind of like nerve wracking. Like I said, his show is planned to a T. He uses musical cues, he uses production and lighting, and that elevates his performance. So, all of that being stripped away, not having an audience to kind of play off of, there's this isolated claustrophobia, and it creates this like raw, heavy, brilliant, emotionally unrestrained experience. it is so personal and intimate. There are shots that are close up to his face that I commend him for his vulnerability. Because myself, like as a writer, I really, really look up to him because I do have trouble being vulnerable. And him, he's completely bare. At points of this, he's literally naked. So he's naked emotionally, he's naked physically, every way you could possibly be. We got Tyler in the chat saying, watched the special today and was blown away. Didn't expect it to be so brilliant and existential. Yeah. I mean, we're getting into all of that today. So definitely, guys, again, let me know your thoughts. But with this one, it's like we're kind of stepping into his mind, John Malkovich style, and that is so terrifying to somebody like me. But Bo is completely embracing that because that's the only way that he knows how to do his craft in times like this. He talks about everything from sadness to being horny. He references suicidal thoughts multiple times in a way that is definitely just reflective of what we're experiencing right now currently. I mean, like as a performer or an entertainer, there's a sense of responsibility. Yes, this is supposed to be public. This is my first one ever public. But as a performer or entertainer, there's a sense of responsibility. Performers provide a service. It's part of the service industry. You're doing something, whether it's writing a book or whether it's doing a concert, having an album, whatever it is, and people are consuming that. And he takes this space that is so empty and bland and he makes it like vibrant and alive through his use of lighting and other technology. And during this entire process, he is displaying the same disdain and criticism for the landscape of like performance and entertainment that we've seen him express before. He's talked about like garbage reality television, like lip sync battle, or all these other different things, saying, okay, celebrities are putting themselves out there on a platform and we're watching them do even more things and praising them for literally the bare minimum. Like, you don't have to, exactly. I'm in the service industry, I'm just overpaid. So he understands what it is to be an artist. Of course, as an artist, you have an inherent need to continue to create, even if you're not necessarily sharing it with anybody. I write all the time. I don't share everything that I do, you know? But for him, being in this isolated place, I just the way that he completely transformed the space that we saw it at the end of Make Happy. I went back and, like I said, I rewatched it, and it is the exact same space, and that was the door that was opened in at the end. So it's this bland space that is his own, and he's making it so alive with the lighting and technology. But it's a one man show at the end of the day. He is doing all the technical work, he is editing it, he's directing it. I just find it to be so fascinating, the way he was able to pull all of this off and how much time he put into it. Obviously, you could tell physically how much he changes throughout this entire special, throughout this entire experience. But the fact that he opens it up with, but look, I made you some content. Daddy made you your favorite. Open wide, here comes the content. Referring to art as content, I have seen so many times, and every time it makes me kind of nauseous. Like to refer to a film, something that somebody spent years on, or whatever it is, any artistic piece or work, I would never reference as like content. But obviously, he's doing that in like a satirical way. And the irony is not lost on us or him. Like the audience, as a performer, he knows exactly what he's doing there when it talks about like delivering everyone a piece of work and having that responsibility on you to entertain at the end of the day. So, of course, then we get into healing the world with comedy. And typically, entertainment, whether it's film, music, whatever, it's a form of escapism. And it's like, what is it like when our escape directly reflects what we're experiencing? We've seen so many different like pandemic films, whether it's something like Malcolm and Marie or Locked Up or Locked Down, whatever that Anne Hathaway Chiwetel Ejiofor film is. But it's people adapting to everything that's happening in the world. This is a direct reflection of what has happened in the world. This would not exist if we were in the middle of a pandemic. I really highly doubt Bo Burnham would have locked himself in a room, slowly went crazy just to deliver this masterpiece. Even though it's this journey, you could see it's like super grueling for everything that he's experiencing. So art doesn't help anything. Of course, all the issues that he's bringing up and healing the world with comedy. Art doesn't help, it just alleviates the human experience. And that's what he's kind of focusing on. And that's what he's referencing. And like I said, like this directly reflects what we're going through right now. So we've seen it. A great example is the Euphoria episode that focuses on Jules, like so the special Jules season 2 episode, because Hunter Schafer herself talked about like I was going to seek help, I was going to seek treatment elsewhere, and then I decided to write the script instead, and it kind of had the same type of catharsis for her. So that's what we could kind of see is pretty apparent for Bo Burnham, that he had this catharsis creating this. And as somebody who definitely has been open with my own struggles over the last few months, it is this like comfortable, uncomfortable feeling. It's like I feel embraced by this type of situation, but at the same time, it is really, really uncomfortable to face it head on and know exactly the weight of it all, like being stuck in this kind of experience and getting into like some of the more upbeat songs, because I feel like when we're at the first half it is very heavy. It's Bo Burnham, so that's kind of to be expected. It's heavy, but then of course we get into something like the way the world works with the sock puppet, and it's obviously making fun of ourselves and being very, very real, very heavy, adding a lot of commentary on culture and our society and our government. But then we get into, of course, like the white women's Instagram and the sexting song, and there's still so many layers and things to really enjoy with all of those. Hi Ryan. We have that psycho reviewer saying, "What's your favorite pure Bo Burnham song? Is it the type of song that would actually work as part of his stage stuff?" Ooh, I will probably get to that towards the end. Um, because I feel like it's kind of interesting because I feel like a lot of these would still work on stage, but not necessarily as well as they work in this special. Like if he was to do White Women's Instagram, of course, like something like the Twitch video game, like you wouldn't be able to capture something like that. It would have to be in a thing like this. Um, the song that kind of sticks out to me the most that I'm going to get to is Funny Feeling. I feel like that one is like one of the softest and heaviest at the same time. I think it's this perfect blend and I just really, really love it. So if I were to say something that could definitely work, I think Funny Feeling would be amazing. Of course, the opening songs as well. And Funny Feeling to the end, to be honest. I think all of those songs would still work outside of this cinematic experience, just not as well. I do think it's harder hitting with everything that's going on, with seeing him throughout this production of it, when he has moments where he's knocking things down, he's getting frustrated, he's literally crying, and we're stuck on that. It just highlights that claustrophobia and everything that we feel literally with ourselves, we're just experiencing with him. And that's where that comfort comes in. But then we have moments like the reaction over the reaction. I don't even know what to call it, but it's like super, super meta. We have honest evaluations of each bit layered on top of each other. And I just think it's absolutely brilliant because as he's continuing on with each one, there's more and more commentary. There's commentary that's talking about this entire thing. And then after that, it's like, oh, me talking about this piece, well, this is super pretentious. And then one layer, it's like, well, I said it's pretentious because I like to be self deprecating, because without that, this allows people to not call me out on this because I'm calling myself out on this. And it's just a lot of the stuff he was saying. I was like, I feel very, very seen. Um, we have Brandon saying the sock puppet and the reaction video were my favorite parts. Love the satire. 100%. Aaron saying the fact that this was in front of no crowd is so insane to me. For this to work this well is awesome. Yeah. I feel like that you needed that silence, you needed that awkwardness, you needed that tension, you needed those moments in between production where he was getting frustrated at things. You needed that. It made it a truly special special. We have weirdly when you said fellas and the feeling like shit, but I was like, there you bud. There you are, bud. Being self-aware doesn't take away from being an asshole is brilliant. Yeah, it's like it doesn't absolve you. I felt so seen because like my biggest excuse is like, oh well, I'm really self-aware. And it's like, no, still doesn't. And I'm aware of all these things, but just layering these things on top of each other, having commentary on his commentary over and over again, it was absolutely just brilliant. Having this kind of on an endless loop for a moment, just the way he played it out, I think was so special. And honestly, if I could, there's this photo. This is it. This is exactly what there's much pain in this room. I feel like that's kind of where all of this comes to a head is just there's a lot of pain and a lot of catharsis that we're seeing on our screen. Um, and I was laughing and crying and literally doing both in the same song. That's where it's just like so surprising to me that somebody can elicit so many different emotions literally at once. It's like we're laughing at the state of the world and what we've experienced for over a year now. Um, and seeing like how he took this step away from performing, and then when he finally kind of felt okay to perform again and thought about doing it again, that was stripped away from him. And it's the same thing with all of us. No matter what situations we're all in, this past year has brought so much loss, so much like depression, not being able to see friends and family. And it's completely unprecedented, and we had no idea this was coming. It was just one day everything is just stripped away, and you don't know what you have until it's kind of gone. All of these like little moments that make life special, we weren't able to experience it. So yeah, that's it's kind of like how I mentioned before, his internet video. Oh my god. That internet song, incredible. And even just like the line like apathy is a tragedy and boredom's a crime, I think is just brilliant. And again, the way that he deals as a child of social media, like he literally blew up on YouTube. If it wasn't for YouTube, we probably wouldn't see him anywhere else. This is where he got his start. But having that type of commentary on the landscape of everything and where it's headed, and how influencer culture and everything, because even in white women's Instagram we see that, we see everybody putting performances on for themselves and their followers and family and whatever it is 24/7, even if we're not famous, we're not influencers, but a lot of people treat life like it still is. It's very, very interesting. But again, if anyone's gonna have like commentary on the internet, I really do think Bo Burnham is a perfect person, because he's a child of the internet. His entire career was bred from his YouTube. And eighth grade, again, I think is the best that anybody has kind of tackled social media and that landscape, how it affects the youth. I think he is the perfect person to do it. We have that psycho reviewer saying, "Welcome to the Internet was my favorite as just a Bo Burnham song." It is so good. I have listened to it so many times on repeat today, even without watching it during the thing. I was at the gym earlier and I was just listening to it, and the energy that this song has and how real it really is, where it's talking about like, oh, you could get this recipe. Oh, you could stumble upon all these different things. And it's like, there's something for everyone here. Like you're not it's endless. It's endless. You can sit there on the internet and find something new to do every single moment of every single day if you wanted to. But when we get to Funny Feeling, that is definitely like the standout song for me. I love everything that he's kind of bringing up in it, even like when he mentioned it's really really hard, but when he mentioned like the derealization, it's like, oh, like googling this and then not liking the result of what you're seeing. I think kind of being in the same place. Of course, some people were like people have been like working throughout this time, but not everybody has. Some people have genuinely just stayed inside. That's kind of how I am. All of my work has been in these walls. There's times where I try to go for a walk and things like that, but there was months that I didn't do that. And every day felt the same, and I was complaining to like friends and family where I'm like, it feels like groundhog day. Like it feels like I wake up, I do the same thing, I don't leave, and then stuff stops feeling real. I myself have like reached out to like family and friends and talked about this and tried to find like ways to alleviate this or to help this, no matter what it was, whether it was like seeking therapy or different things like that, because derealization is very very real and very very like hard to deal with in your real life. But this song starting out with his, like slight jokes and all these different things like that, and then again, it comes with like that self-awareness, and that's when it really, really creeps in. He starts like he tackles topics like global warming and all these other ideas, even when he's referencing like the climate clock. Um, it's it's just really amazing. It's really, really brilliant. It's kind of everything I said before. It's like the whole world at your fingertips. Like, even though myself, the irony is not lost on me that I criticize social media all the time, but I'm here on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. I do that. I'm like, oh, it's poisoning our minds, but I'm still on it the same way a lot of other people are on it that criticize it. I think the way that it kind of concludes with like saying it'll all be over soon, it just it's kind of like uplifting and hard at the same time, because to me when he's talking about that funny feeling, I do think about it as that like anxious feeling that kind of creeps up on you, and that's something that I've personally been dealing with for like a really long time, and that's where I really do find solace in writers and performers that cover these types of topics. That's why people like Sufjan Stevens or Julian Baker or some others are my favorite musicians, because hearing people, I always joke that I'm a masochist, but hearing people sing or perform or write about something that I relate to, even if it does elicit negative emotions, it feels cathartic to do so. So it's kind of cathartic even like watching him talk about these personal struggles. Throughout this entire special, he's talking about struggles that only he would know about, which is obviously like performing. I've never performed on stage for lots of people, but at the same time, even though he's talking about like quitting comedy in the journey to heal his mental health, um, and then talking about his panic attacks that he had on stage, like in the past, there's also the weight of facing the repercussions of what's happening in the world. And all of us can relate to that in some way, shape, or form. I just overall really, really enjoyed every single moment of this special. I think this is going to be joining Make Happy on the list of my comfort watches. I've seen it twice already in a span of less than 24 hours, and it didn't get old. Having it be an hour and a half, I thought was amazing, because I think typically his specials are about an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour. But this didn't falter at all throughout this entire experience. Even if there was ones that I liked more than others, I think overall this is probably one of the best things he's ever created. And it is so weird to see something so beautiful and profound and self-aware come out of these times. Um, but yeah, it's like having the Truman Show-esque ending, I thought was absolutely the cherry on top. I thought it was brilliant. Bo stepping out of the house after everything I just talked about with him stepping away from like live comedy, him stepping out of his own house, the world still being dark. But there was that one single spotlight, and obviously the door was locked behind him. And no matter where he went, he couldn't escape uh, the light. It was just really, really haunting, and I think a perfect conclusion for this special. I think Bo is amazing at, obviously we saw with like Make Happy and other ones, but like his final songs, his final moments always wrap up everything he is trying to say with like the most beautiful bow. So the messiness, the clunkiness at times, the rawness, how intimate this special was, I think having the conclusion that we did made it absolutely perfect. We have that psycho reviewer saying he really took the introspective side of his stuff to the next level with this one. Yeah, as much as I love all of his like previous works, I feel like overall this is my favorite. I think this is the most special. I think I needed this one more than I've needed any of the other ones. They always made an impact on me at the time of their release, but this one just immediately I had a connection to it that I haven't had with something in a very long time. It touched me in a way, it was uplifting, it was cathartic. Seeing him go through everything that he did, the same things that all of us have, I just thought was very, very special. And I think the links that he kind of goes in with this special provides this like comfortably uncomfortable, existentially dreadful reflection of the human experience throughout like this pandemic era. It's inspiring for any artist or creative to kind of see somebody create the quarantine masterpiece, because like I said earlier, I really do believe that this is the quarantine masterpiece. Any of the other films that were results of what was happening, I thought yeah, those are fine, but this is a direct reflection. This would not exist without everything that happened in the world happening. So like it's kind of one of those things where in years to come, I'll be able to revisit something like Inside and tap into those emotions and reflect on everything that we experienced, but not in a negative way. Not in like a, oh, okay, we just had to make this work. We see different shows and productions taking the steps that they have with like smaller crews. This is literally just a one man show. I think it's a technical feat. I think he did incredible. Like I said, it's inspiring for any artist to see somebody create this with just some tech and a camera. Like any of us could do that. Like, of course, Bo Burnham has his signature of everything, but what's stopping any of us from doing whatever it is that we want to do inside as well? Working towards creating our own little masterpieces, whether it's writing a book, writing a screenplay, also doing another one man show, creating an album. Just seeing him take all the tools that he had at that time and what was available for him and then making this out of it, it was just really really inspiring. So as tragic as it may have been at certain moments, I really, really enjoyed how hilarious it was and how I was like crying and laughing at the same time and laughing at myself and then crying at the fact of everything that's happening in the world. I just think that was really special. We have him opening up like that was insanely brave. Yeah, like I said, I really, really, truly do admire him for his vulnerability. I feel like that's something that he is so comfortable with. And being able to share that side of yourself with other people and talking about some of the darkest things ever in a comedy special is something that we rarely get to see. And you kind of have to. Like I can't think of how it would be to watch just any standard comedy special come out right now and not be somewhat tragic. I think I think this is going hand in hand with the state of the world at this time. So overall, I absolutely love this. It's already been 2 times that I've seen it. I've listened to a bunch of the songs over and over again. I'm excited for everything that Bo Burnham's going to do in the future, whether it is do another film, whether it's continue to act. I know he's playing a basketball player in like an HBO series or something like that. I just think overall he is an immense talent. He has a voice like no other. He's able to tap into this like range of emotions that I haven't experienced with anything else. So for everybody who stuck around through this entire time, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much to everybody in the live chat. We have Ryan saying, "Have you listened to his episode on the A24 podcast where he and Gerard Carmichael just talk for an hour? It's really enjoyable." I haven't. So I'm definitely going to have to check that out. I feel like I've seen so many of his interviews and stuff like that. Haven't heard of this one. I'm going to be revisiting some of his works. So obviously, like what, eighth grade. I'm going to be coming back with another show, kind of covering all of that. This really did inspire me. Andrew, 100% you need to check it out. Or you need to revisit in the comments and let me know what you think of it. I know it's not going to be every single person's cup of tea, but if anything I said throughout this entire show interests you, I would highly, highly recommend it. I give it an A. I give it like basically a 10 out of 10. This was my favorite thing that I have seen this year so far. So I appreciate everybody for sticking around. If you guys want to continue to follow me anywhere else, Twitter and Instagram at Sabrina X Monica, also on Twitter at Sabrina on Film. First Cut YouTube channel, Meaning of Podcast. We're going live in about 30 minutes. So that's going to be really exciting. But if not, subscribe, like the video. I appreciate you guys. And